South African President Jacob Zuma says he's going to abide by the ruling of a constitutional court which found that the publicly funded upgrades to his Nkandla private residence were illegal. In a televised address to the nation this evening, he said he welcomed the judgment unreservedly and that it reflected the values of a hard-earned democracy by upholding the powers of the public protector.
It's a story dominating the headlines here. The big question, though, what happens now? The Constitutional Court found that President Jacob Zuma allowed millions in public money to be spent on his private residence, Nkandla, and then ignored the call from the country's corruption watchdog to pay some of it back. The court said that puts him in breach of his constitutional duties, a ruling that could open the door to impeachment. The African National Congress says its top 6 leaders, Zuma among them, will meet. What comes out of that will be key.
The ANC in Parliament has so far been reluctant to comment on the matter. The party's parliamentary spokesperson says the judgment is comprehensive and it covers a wide range of constitutional matters.
ANC's traditional Labour allies say the ruling is good for South Africa.
We are now at a time where we think as society, other issues that have been overshadowed by this matter for the past 3 years, in particular workers' issues, will now find space in the parliamentary debate. Because people have been jumping up and down in parliament, Zuma must fall, blah, blah, blah. Can we put that behind us? Prioritize the issues that matters to society, and I think that is the time.
The Treasury has been given 60 days to determine how much Zuma should repay. The country is hoping for clarity far sooner on what the ruling means to Zuma's position as president. Yolisa Njamela, CCTV, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Let's get more now from Yolisa Njamela. She joins us on the line from Johannesburg. Yolisa, events are moving quite fast after that constitutional court ruling against President Zuma. What's the latest?
Well, they are indeed moving very fast. In fact, President Jacob Zuma just finished an address through the South African Broadcasting Corporation, which is, of course, the public broadcaster in the country. He says he meant no disrespect to the country's watchdog, which we know as South Africans as the public protector, when he failed to immediately comply with her remedial actions that required him to pay back taxpayers' funds used for non-security upgrades at his Nkandla homestead. And I quote him, he says, "It was never my intention not to comply with the public protector's remedial action or disrespect her office," unquote. You must remember that Zuma had for the past 2 years maintained that he would not pay back any of the money which was used towards the upgrades, because he also maintained that he had not asked for those upgrades. But on Thursday, which is yesterday really, the Constitutional Court ruled that Zuma had violated the Constitution in doing this, and it ordered him to pay back some funds.
So what is likely to happen next?
Well, you would know, of course, that there were meetings like we mentioned in our bulletin last night. The National Executive Committee of the ruling party, the ANC, met last night. They had an urgent meeting after the Constitutional Court ruling. They had that meeting continued to this morning. We know that that same executive committee, except for President Jacob Zuma, who is the 6th member of that executive committee, will be addressing the nation this evening as well in about 45 minutes. What we know, though, for a fact is that the presidency released statements this afternoon alluding to the fact that the president will be going on with his official duties as the president. On Sunday, he will be in Durban, one of the provinces, or rather KZN, one of the provinces of the country, and he will be dealing with service delivery issues. On Wednesday, he will be in the Eastern Cape dealing with issues of service delivery. So we know that he will be continuing with his duties as the president of the country. What we know also for a fact from the ANC officials is that next weekend, on Saturday, the National Executive Committee of the ruling party, the ANC, will be holding a special National Executive Committee meeting. This is very unusual because 2 weeks ago, they held
Right, Yolisa Njamela on the line there from Johannesburg. Thank you, Yolisa. Let's move to the Democratic Republic of Congo now, and significant developments excuse me, on the political front. 7 opposition parties are backing top politician Moise Katumbi for president. The owner of football club TP Mazembe thanked the parties for their support, but says he needs more even to consider running for the top job. Katumbi is both charismatic and popular in the country, and one of the reasons is he runs one of Africa's most successful football clubs. A former ally of President Joseph Kabila, Katumbi last year broke ties with the ruling party. He's been urging Kabila to step down. Protests broke out recently in the country when Kabila postponed elections. Many saw the move as a bid for him to cling to power beyond his 2 terms.